Yeah, but that's-
So please come to order. Today's devotionals will have a moment of silence. Thank you. Please rise if you're able for the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any announcements? Seeing none, we have a Senate resolution to introduce and read and adopt in all field, ARS 45. Is this an immediate resolution?
Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that when the two houses adjourn on Friday, February 16, 2024, it be to meet again no later than Tuesday, February 20, 2024.
Now you've heard the reading of the resolution. The question is, shall the Senate adopt the resolution? Are you ready for the question? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed indicate by saying nay. The ayes have it, and you have adopted JRS 45. We have the committee bill for introduction, S 311. Please listen to the first reading of the bill by title.
S 311, an act relating to bringing everyone home.
Now you've heard the first reading of the bill. Being a committee bill, it will be placed on the calendar for notice on the next calendar day. You have two House bills for reference. The first being H 751, which passed the House on February 6th, February 8th. Please listen to the first reading of the bill by title.
H 751, an act relating to expanding equal pay protections.
Now you've heard the first reading of the bill is referred to the Committee on Economic Development, Housing, and General Affairs. We also have H 666, which passed the House on February 8th. Please listen to the first reading of the bill by title.
H 666, an act relating to escrow deposit bonds.
Now you've heard the first reading of the bill is referred to the Committee on Economic Development, Housing, and General Affairs. That brings us to the order of the day. We have up for consideration Senate Resolution 15 relating to the adoption of temporary Rule 44A. The question is, shall the Senate adopt the resolution?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of explanatory notes about this. SR 15 establishes the crossover dates for this year, and those dates are March 15th for bills to leave committees of jurisdiction and March 22nd for bills to leave the money committees. If they fail to meet those deadlines, they wind up in the Rules Committee. And the Rules Committee in the second year of the biennium tends to be a little more reluctant to allow things that have missed crossover to leave. So I did want to point out that there are 19 days after today until crossover. 19 legislative days. That is not a lot of time, and we have major pieces of legislation to get out. That means that as of today, we need to rededicate ourselves and begin the final push for crossover. That doesn't mean we won't have work after crossover that's as crucial and the deadline's just as tough to meet. But for right now, our goal is March 15th and getting all of the legislation that we've considered priority out of committee. So with that, Mr. President, thank you very much.
The question is, shall the Senate adopt, where is it? That's Senate Resolution 15. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed indicate by saying nay. The ayes have it, and you've adopted Senate Resolution 15. Are there any announcements? Senator from Chittenden Southeast.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pending entry on the calendar for notice, I move S 311, an act relating to bringing everyone home. be committed to the Committee on Economic Development, Housing, and General Affairs.
Now, the senator from Chittenden Southeast has moved that pending entry on the calendar for notice that S 311 and activating the bringing everyone home. Housing and General Affairs, are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, indicate by saying nay. The ayes have it. And the S 311. That completes the orders of the day. Senator from Chittenden Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move that pending announcements, the Senate stand in adjournment until 1 p.m. Wednesday, February 14th.
Are there any announcements? Senator from Chittenden Southeast.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two announcements. One is that Senate Health and Welfare will meet at 10 o'clock after the fall of the gavel. My second is very briefly that there are a number of students from our regional middle schools here today and talking about one of the bills that the Senate passed last year on vaping and flavors. And so if you see students around, please introduce yourselves and welcome them. Thank you, Mr. President.
Are there any further announcements? Senator from Bennington.
President, given 19 days, according to the pro tem, Senate Judiciary will meet at 9:45 instead of 10.
The other senator, because there are two senators from Bennington,
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Education will meet at 1 o'clock.
Senator from Orleans,
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Senate Ag will meet at 10 o'clock.
Senator from Washington,
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Finance will meet at 1:30.
Senator from Addison,
Senate Gov Ops will meet at 1:30.
Senator from Essex,
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate institutions will meet at 1:15 today.
Senator from Addison,
Mr. President, Senate Natural Resources and Energy will meet 10 minutes after the fall of the gavel. We have witnesses waiting.
Senator from Chittenden Southeast.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Economic Development will also meet 10 minutes after the fall of the gavel.
Are there any further announcements? Just to remind senators that in the room right outside the cafeteria, I believe, today, since tomorrow we are adjourned until 14th of February. If you would like would be noted to someone else, you want to consider that. They're here. I'm not home enough. With that, the Senator from Chittenden Central has moved, but the Senate now stands adjournment until Wednesday, February 14th. So, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, indicate by saying nay. You guys having this Senate stand adjourned until Wednesday, February 14th at 1 p.m.